My son. Yeah. Do that every time you're listening to that. That's right. But then you serve. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's literally. Yeah, number one female teenage fan. Yeah. Fair, yeah. Just sing Maggie up to the foul. You can call that basic. I know you said. Yeah, Maggie, a couple weeks ago, I was here at the new racing. And things were I was so scared. Water face. Now I'm making up on one. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I normally have a glass and a knife that I bang on to like a gavel, but they didn't give me one today. My name is Chuck Anderson, Commodore of the Chicago Yacht Club. On behalf of everyone here at the Yacht Club, I want to officially welcome you to the 115th Race to Mackinac. We will be meeting you up there. I'll be on the docks by boat. Anyway, we know you've been planning this for months, but prepping for weeks, and it's here this afternoon. Couple hours, you'll be out on the water, pointed north, I hope. Taking part in the incredible race that dates back to 1898. So I won't even do the math to figure out how they got to 115th. But first, we have one more thing, which is, of course, the briefing. Our team from CYC will be giving you some reminders of what to expect when you get to the island. And of course, the weather. Yeah, we can't control it, but we try. So let me turn it over to my friend and chair, the 115th running of the race to Mackinac, Win Saldani. Win?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Cruising Fleet Skippers meeting. I'm Win Saldani. I'm chair of the race. I'm going to begin, as any good chair should, with a lot of thank yous. And the first thank you is to our sponsors. So the sponsors are listed here. I'll call them out, and if we could have a round of applause afterwards, I'd appreciate that. So Evolution Sales, Harkin, San Pellegrino, Samuel Adams, Larson Marine, Aquapana, X, Tatinge. I learned to pronounce that correctly yesterday. Mount Gay, Team One Newport, and of course, our presenting sponsor for the last 10 years. Couldn't do this without them, Wintrust. So thank you very much to our sponsor. A reminder, this meeting is a courtesy. The invited competitor, the person in charge, is responsible for reading and understanding all of the rules of the race, including the NOR, the SIs, racing rule of sailing, ORC rules, and so forth, invoked by the race. And we remind you of Rule 2 and Rule 3. Rule 2 is fair sailing, that a boat and her owner shall compete in compliance with recognized principles of sportsmanship and fair play, and that the decision to race, that is responsibility for a boat's decision to participate in a race or to continue racing is hers alone. There will be storms. There are storms in the forecast. I shouldn't say there will be storms. Chris will tell you whether there will be storms or not. Good. Thank you. So please follow the race. Have your friends and family follow the race. Those of you who have done this for a number of years know that we work really hard on social media and via email to keep people updated on the race. Facebook is a great place. I'm going to be recording 3 or 4 videos of the tracker, including one tonight that's just focused on the cruising fleet. So please do follow the race. Also, not on this page, CBS is going to be covering the start of the race from about 2:30 to 2:15 online streaming. So tell your friends and family to get the CBS local app. CBS Chicago will be live streaming your start. So for tracking, this is the tracking link. I don't expect everyone to remember this one, though this presentation will be posted online, so you can look at this link. You can also go to cycracesmackinac.com. At the bottom, there's a follow the race button. Click on the follow the race button and it will take you there. You notice there's a YB tracking logo here and there's a Nautical Cloud logo here. Thank you all for your patience as we transition to Nautical Cloud this year. It's going to allow us to do cool stuff now and in the future, including Jen, actually, who'll be speaking later, work with Nautical Cloud and work with YB to set up gates in the race this year. So there are timing gates at Saugatuck, Little Sable, Point Betsy, Charlevoix, Can 3, the Mac Bridge, and at the finish. And what that allows us to do, and here's an example from the Newport Bermuda race, is you're able to look at your splits, right? Like you were running a marathon or something, and see how many places you gained or lost, what your time was compared to others, and so forth and so on. So we want you to take advantage of all those things, right? All the cool things that we're adding to the race. Share with family, share with friends. They can reach out to us here at the race office if there's any questions that people have about how to follow the race. Okay, now a couple of rules and regulations here. We are going up to Mackinac Island. We are guests at Mackinac Island. I know I don't need to say this for most people, but we're going to be in their harbor there. There will be a board up there with the rules for the harbor. You all know the rules for the harbor. I need to emphasize one set of rules, though, and that's about fuel. There is no fueling from portable cans in the DNR controlled harbors in Michigan where we're going to be staying here. You can take an empty fuel can, you can go get it filled up at the hardware store, but you can't fill your boat up with that can at a DNR harbor. There's a couple of people who got nasty letters last year because of this. So please do respect that. They take great care of their harbors. We're there as their guests. Please, please, please do respect that. Another thing and another thank you that I really, really owe here is to our volunteers and friends. So the CYC Race to Mackinac Committee, and there's several of you out there. Hi, guys. The amount of hours that have been put in on this, it's humbling. It's breathtaking. This committee has been working since last July 13th, I think, on this race this year. And this weekend is a culmination for all of us. The race committee has been working breathtakingly hard in the last few weeks to get prepared for this race. So number one, let's give a big thank you to them, please. Number two is we're volunteers. So look, we all get up to the island. We're all a little tired. You've been racing for a few days. We've been awake since last Tuesday. So please understand that we're volunteers. We're all trying our best. Let's all be polite, be friendly, and have fun as we do this, because that's what this is all about, is having a good time. First timers. So I'm proud to say, I think the committee is proud to say that about 10% of the boats in the race this year are first-time boats and first-time programs. And about 20% of the sailors, almost 400 sailors out of our 2,200 sailors, are first time doing this race. So congratulations to the first timers. All right. Like we really think that this is important, because if we're going to grow this sport, and we can grow this sport with this race at this club, we're going to do it via getting new programs and new people on the water. So we're really happy about that. If you guys have read about, we have a first timers brunch on Tuesday morning. The ticket sales for the brunch portion are closed. We actually sold out, which is really exciting. If you do not have tickets and you have a first timer, you can still come at 12:30. It's in the Cypress Room at Mission Point. It's going to be a cash bar there. We have these first timer pins. They're cute little lapel pins. There's also tattoos, my first Mac tattoos you can get. And I encourage you to really celebrate, guys, right? Like, this is a big, remember your first race. It's a big deal. It's something. And look, there used to be an initiation ceremony of throwing your first timer in the harbor. Right? And as you saw from my rules earlier, we can't throw people in the harbor anymore, but we can bring the harbor to people at Mission Point. So if you would like to initiate your first timers, we'll have some ways for you to do that. And Claire O'Neill, a great volunteer in the committee, monitors this email address, newbies@cycracetomackinac.com. Look, this is the first time we're trying this. So if you have any questions about it, about the pins, about the anything, please just drop us a line and we'll take care of it. Okay? Good. Okay, and my last comment, and then I'm going to hand it off to the race committee. Next year is 150th anniversary of the Chicago Yacht Club Race to Mackinac. We are going to do it up. We're going to run an Ultramac, and this is kind of the official announcement of it today. The Ultramac starts in Port Huron, does the long course, and comes all the way here to Chicago. It's about 600 miles of freshwater racing. The last time this race was run was 2000. The next time will probably be 2050. It's a once in your sailing career opportunity to do that race. We're going to have ultra-sized celebrations in Chicago and on the island. I'm already working on planning the fireworks. I don't know what else we're going to be able to do, but we're really going to do this one up. We're reaching out to yacht clubs all around the Great Lakes, including all the way to Lake Erie, to the East Coast, to the South, to multi-hull fleets. And my ask of you is to spread the word. Again, we want people to come do this race. We want first timers. We want people to experience this. If you're a member of a yacht club or have an organization where we can present and discuss this race, and getting more people to do it and get on the water, please reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to do that. All right. That's the fun stuff. Now I'm going to hand this off to the chair, to the principal race officer of the race. And Jennifer Steffler has been an amazing partner. And thank you guys very, very much for listening, and look forward to seeing you at the island.
All right. Welcome. So today we'll be out on the water, right out there. You'll check in with the pin boat, which is Anna Marie. So beautiful 50-foot Sea Ray. Thank you. It is. Can you make that line and not be OCS? So she'll be out there. Thank you, Kurt Lunch, for volunteering your boat. You'll check in with Anna Marie. They will be at anchor by then. So go by, wave, say hi, and they'll acknowledge you. Carrier is sitting right here. She'll be our signal boat at the east end of the line. If you see any of these flags, I decided, I saw a shirt I liked. We needed some VIP flags. Every sailor knows when to hoist the whiskey when you run out of rum. So those are the VIP boats, or that can be in the safety box during the event. So last year, Can 3 was quote unquote missing, according to the Coast Guard, and then everybody got up there and it was there. So the course is back to normal. We're going through Gray's Reef and Can 3, just like every other year. One of the changes this year is you are not required to make a bridge call-in before the finish. So if you call us, we'll talk to you. We'll say, hi, welcome. You're not quite done yet. Hang on. But it's not required. So if you're busy doing things, there's no reason to call in and talk to us unless you miss people that are ashore. And a reminder, you do have to call in your finish. So that has not gone away. You still have to call in and confirm your finish on the radio on 7/8. So electronic finish declarations, the magic yellow cards from prior years are no more. You'll be getting an email today around noon that will have a unique link to your boat. You don't have to log in. You can forward it to somebody else if you want to delegate it, but it'll go to the primary and secondary email that's on your race entry. You will also get a text to the primary mobile when you get near the finish line. It doesn't confirm your finish. It doesn't mean you've actually crossed the finish line, but it's YB senses you're close. It'll send a text to that mobile. That can also be forwarded. So when you're done, you put your finish time in on that form like you would on the yellow cards. So this is on a mobile. It'll work on an iPad, on a computer. And if you get up to the island and you still can't find the email or the text, the race committee headquarters can help you do that, and we can resend it or turn the computer around and you can enter it. One of the things, everybody got a green card from docking, I hope, with your preliminary docking assignment. On the back of it, so that you don't have to find this link as you cross the finish line, is a nice little area to write your finish time, the boat ahead, the boat behind, the information you need to put in. So you don't have to find an electronic device that's powered on and has signal as you cross the line. Make a note, submit it within 3 hours like you would your yellow cards from days ago. When you come in, call docking control when you're ready to dock. So have your fenders out, have your lines out, have everything ready to go. Race committee headquarters, where you'll end up returning your trackers, is on the docks again this year. So it should be real easy for everybody to drop their trackers off. Return your trackers, because that's where you get your drink tickets, which we know is the only reason people bring their trackers back. If you're doing touch and go, the touch and go slip is not at the end of the ferry dock this year. It's slip J30. So it's real near where the inspection slips were last year. The inspection slips will be on the other side of I-something. I'm looking at the docking person, but she doesn't remember either. I-31. So those will be right there by headquarters. If you're doing touch and go, basically have everything ready to go, come in, the people that are getting off the boat, step off, and then you leave again. There's no loitering, you can't hang out, you can't run in and get your drink tickets. It's a one slip that we have to get all the touch and go boats in and out of. Turn in your tracker, be nice to the docking people. They're tired too, they want to help you get off, they're happy to catch lines. And then we'll see you at Mission Point. So our judging panel this year, Lance Smotherman is back this year. He is our chief judge. You want to stand up? Lance is like, no, not really. We have John Porter, who is back again this year. And Don Becker to round out the panel from California. And then we have Mike Casper, who is our jury secretary. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Biscayne Bay will be escorting the fleet up. They are expected in port about noon today. So they will follow up the fleet starting tomorrow. If you need anything, call them. They'll tell you they'd rather have you call early and then cancel needing something than wait too long and not be able to help you. So they're there to help support us. So use them. Remember, you're supposed to monitor 16, which is not a race rule, it's a federal rule. And then the reason everybody's really here, Chris, you're up. Have a great race, guys. We'll see you on the water.
All right, thank you very much. It's great to see you all back again. Lots of familiar faces in the audience, all here for your annual abuse, listening to me. And as every year, I have bad news, so this year will be no different. No, but it's good to be back again, and looking forward to another good race up to the island. We actually have what looks like a pretty promising forecast for most of the race, which is a little bit scary. We'd like to see something in the forecast that says, you know, you're going to be going upwind in 25 knots or something. I always feel better when that's in the forecast. When it's mostly a running type of racing forecast, I get very nervous because if something goes wrong, then the consequences to me are worse. It's sort of like saying it's going to rain and then it doesn't rain. You don't get blamed for that. But if you say it's not going to rain and it rains, you hear about it. So it's a little bit like that. So just to remember that while you're on your way up to the island, make sure that you're monitoring the forecast. Just because you got a forecast when you left the dock doesn't mean it changes on the way up. So a forecast is not a static thing. It's constantly changing. So make sure you're keeping up to date and monitoring apps and things. There will likely be some thunderstorms at some point along the way. And so you should be sure you're keeping up to date on those. This is one of those forecasts where I can say there's going to be thunderstorms, but we don't have enough information at this time to say exactly where and when they're going to happen and how strong they will be. So that's a part of the forecast that's developing. And so you want to stay up to date with that. The other thing is keep in mind that when you're using the radar on your app, whichever app you may be accessing radar data with, just be careful interpreting that. Different apps have different presentations of the data. It looks different. They may be compositing data from multiple radars in different ways. And also sometimes the data is slow updating. When you look at your app, you're not connected directly to the radar. You're connected to about 25 servers and processing systems and update sequences. And so the information that shows up could be 15 or 20 minutes delayed. So make sure that you're aware of that. Also, you know, the tendency is to jump right to the grid file, put that into your navigation system. You got a presentation and think that's the forecast. No, that is one model. That is one model's interpretation of what might happen. A forecast is a combination of many models, interpretation of that, and then what's going to happen going forward. So a grid file is not a forecast. So you should be cross-checking and looking at other sources of information that you have, weather observations, satellite imagery, whatever other information you have, your eyes looking out. Does it make sense what you're seeing on the computer? Make sense to what you're experiencing? So you should always be aware of that. And at the end of the day, you're responsible for the safe operation of your boat. And if something looks wrong, weather-wise, it probably is wrong, and you should take steps to protect yourself accordingly. All right. So with that, we'll get started. As always, here in Chicago, we start out with the severe weather outlook, and this is no different. So today we're in pretty good shape, and I'm not expecting any issues with regard to thunderstorms or severe weather out there today or tonight or even tomorrow, most of tomorrow. So the Severe Prediction Center agrees with me on that, and they show a green area over Wisconsin, some stuff just out to the east of us, but actually that risk is moving away. So that's just general thunderstorms anyway, but no problem with that. However, for tomorrow, and particularly tomorrow night into Sunday morning, then we do have a risk of some stuff coming out onto the lakes. You'll see that there's a dark green area. That's an area of marginal risk of severe weather. And then there's a slight area of risk of severe weather in the yellow, just coming down from the northwest, sort of coming down from the Minnesota area down into the lake. Now, exactly where that area attaches to the lake is the part of the forecast that we don't have certainty of. And I'm going to show you a graphic just to kind of to demonstrate that. But that is the first period where we could have some issues with thunderstorms, is that tomorrow night into early Sunday morning. And then I think most of the day on Sunday should be okay. And then it'll be so that stuff in the morning will sort of move out to the east and dissipate. And then there may be another batch of it that starts up again late Sunday and into early Monday, and that could move out on the lake as well. So we just want to be aware that some of this stuff is going to be nocturnal. It's going to be happening at night. The daytime period may not be as heavily impacted. And then on Monday, we may just go, we're going to have a front come through at some point during Monday, and then the air mass gets colder. And if anything, we'll just kind of go into general showers if we're going to have anything at that point. All right, where are we at the moment? Well, right now we're focused on high pressure, which is came across overnight and from yesterday. Now it's out to the east over Michigan. And we've got a broad area of basically no isobars between that high and southern Minnesota. Isobars tell us how strong the wind is. If we have lots of isobars stacked up together, there's rapid pressure change over a short distance that generates wind. But when the isobars are spread far apart, then the pressure isn't changing very much, and therefore the air doesn't move around as much, and so the wind is lighter, and that we're in that zone now. So we have a fairly weak pressure gradient over us at the moment, a little bit of breeze coming in here just from some local stuff around the lake at the moment, but it's generally pretty quiet. On the satellite picture, we have an upper level low. Actually, believe it or not, there's a high over Michigan, but aloft there's an upper level low pressure area. Basically, it's just an area of some colder air at higher altitude, and that's generating a little bit of instability, and it's generating some showers and isolated storms over Michigan. Again, that's moving out to the east, not a concern. And when we look at the radar composite, we see that all that shower activity is out to the east and to the north of us, and that's going to be continuing to move away. There's a small chance we might see some isolated showers and stuff develop in southern Wisconsin and northeast Illinois here later on this afternoon, but right now I'm not expecting anything significant. I don't think that's a big worry. So the wind field on the lake right now is pretty quiet. Again, because of this high pressure and lack of isobars around, we don't have a lot of air moving. We do have a local northeast wind here. You can see it on this plot here. Then very calm conditions in the center part of the lake, and then a little bit of a breeze up further up the lake. Because of the lack of wind, the lake is really flat. That's actually going to be one feature about this race, is pretty flat water throughout. We'll see it increase as the southerly winds increase tomorrow and into Sunday, but it's going to be a following sea, so it should be pretty decent. Always talking about water temperature here. Of course, the lake breeze is dependent on the temperature difference between the land and the water. So when we have colder water and warmer land, we get stronger lake breezes. When the two are closer together, we get weaker lake breezes. And at night, we get sort of the opposite. If the lake is warm at night, then we get stronger land breezes, wind blowing off the land. And if it's a colder lake, then we get weaker land breezes. This year, unlike last year, the water temperature is pretty close to normal. And we are a little bit cooler than we were this time last year. So there's nothing really extreme going on with respect to the lake temperature. It's warmer in the southern part of the lake. As you go up the lake, it's going to probably drop by about 5 or 8 degrees, or maybe even 10 degrees as you go up to the northern part of the lake. So it will get colder up there. But for the most part, the lake temperatures are pretty much behaving themselves close to normal this year. All right, here's the forecast for just just before your start time around 1 o'clock this afternoon, you'll see that high pressure out to the east. Now notice a new high has been analyzed over the center of Lake Michigan. That's actually the high pressure that's developed because we're going to have a lake breeze this afternoon. We have a lack of background wind, a slack gradient. And so all the forcing for today's wind is going to come from the temperature contrast between the land and the lake. And what that means is over the cool water, we have high pressure is going to develop. Cooler temperatures, the air is more dense. That's where high pressure is. Over the land, it's going to be relative lower pressure. So there's going to be a high right over the center of the lake. And you'll see it here when I turn on the wind field in a moment. The gradient is the southerly gradient that's going to be our future, especially tomorrow and Sunday, is still well out to the west, still out across Iowa, Minnesota, and the Dakota area. All right, so let's look at the wind field for your start time. This is what it should look like. You'll notice that the center of the lake, where that H was drawn on the analysis, has no wind, and it appears as though all the air is coming out from that high to to both shores. The Michigan shore is going to have a west wind, and we're going to have some flavor of an easterly wind over here on the Illinois-Wisconsin shore. So where that high is, all the air is just sinking in the middle of that high pressure area and feeding the lake breezes on both shores. This is a classic pure lake breeze setup for today. So we're looking for probably about 8 knots of lake breeze by the time you start. It's not going to be a blistering lake breeze, but it'll be certainly enough to get you going and get you up the shore. But you're probably not going to want to sail out toward the middle of the lake. You're probably going to want to stay pretty close to the shore because that's where the wind's going to be strongest, where that temperature contrast and that pressure difference is greatest right in on the shoreline. Still flat water. Again, no surprise there. This is for this evening. You'll see that the analysis basically shows the high more or less in the same position, pretty static, and also analyzing that high pressure over the center of the lake. So you're going to be looking to stay pretty close to shore because that's where the most forcing is going to be for some kind of wind to get north on the lake today. All right, by this evening, again, you see that same sort of pattern that we saw. Notice how the lake breeze has penetrated further inland, but we're also past maximum heating now. So the land is starting to cool. So our pressure difference between the land and the lake is, and the temperature difference between the land and the lake is starting to equalize. And so that's sort of the end of the lake breeze. So from this time forward, it's going to get quite light. It's going to trend quite light on the lake. Now, as we get to the nighttime hours, that high shifts to the east and shifts into central part of the lower peninsula of Michigan. This represents the time now where we're going to start to see the southerly gradient that's blowing around the western periphery of the high pressure between that high and low pressure that's out over the plains. That's going to start to move closer to us. So that's our future. That's our future wind is that gradient. And as we look at the forecast here for Saturday midnight, you'll see that the wind is basically starting to show this trend to kind of increase a little bit, show some southerly flow along the Illinois, Wisconsin shoreline, and also increasing in the northern part of the lake, because there the isobars are getting closer together up there more quickly. So that the upper part of the lake, that south flow is going to start to build. Now, Saturday morning, the high moves out to the eastern Great Lakes, and notice those isobars that were out over Minnesota and the Dakotas now are starting to shift east. And we have actually an isobar now over Lake Michigan. That's good news. That means that we have pressure change coming across the lake. And so we've got gradient now, which is going to start to feed that wind coming up. Now you'll notice a couple of green areas. One of the things, this is a prognosis chart drawn by the National Weather Service. When you look at these prognosis charts and you see green on the map, that doesn't mean it's raining there, or it's predicted to be actively raining there. What it says is there's a chance of rain. Okay, so where there's green, the forecasters are indicating that there's a chance of rain there. This is not a prediction of where rain is going to be happening. Now, as we go into Saturday, you'll see that we're starting to see the southerly flow start to get a little bit more organized from the bottom of the lake up to the north. Still pretty light though, so it's going to be pretty slow going during the night tonight and into tomorrow morning. But as we get into the day on Saturday, that high will continue to slide away. The low will start to get a little bit closer to us from the west. That gradient will start to tighten up and the winds will increase in response. Again, very, very flat water across the entire lake, less than a foot. Saturday, midday, this is where we start to see the wind building. Now notice on the Wisconsin side, we've gone from a southerly wind to a southeasterly wind. That's because there's a forecast, the forecast is indicating there may be a lake breeze component to this breeze. So we're going to have the gradient wind, but also a temperature contrast that's going to be enough to sort of back that breeze and bring it a little bit more onshore on the Wisconsin side. That will enhance the breeze. So more pressure will tend to be from the middle of the lake over to the Wisconsin side relative to the Michigan side, at least halfway up the lake. So keep that in mind. So basically the Michigan, in the way this forecast looks, the Michigan side's got kind of a closed door until you get about halfway up the lake, and then you can get over. All right, here's the surface analysis from NOAA, or forecast, I should say, from NOAA for Saturday. There's that high pressure. It's out to the east, heading into New York State and down toward the mid-Atlantic. And then you'll notice a low pressure and a frontal system out over the Great Plains. Now, there's an area of indicated there of green, right, where there's a chance of some rain happening at this time. And that's all there because as the air is moving north in that southerly flow, it's actually running into colder air underneath it and it's riding up over the top of it. So we're getting cloud development and shower development sort of in a overrunning pattern. The forecast is, am I too loud? Not loud, not loud enough. Thank you. I feel like I'm singing for Aerosmith. I need some scarves on though. Okay. So the thing that's on here though, and I flag on this chart though, is this is where there is some possibility of getting some heavier, more significant thunderstorms building up and clustering across Minnesota and perhaps into northern Wisconsin. And those will slide southeast in the upper level wind flow. And so I've flagged that here. Again, it's too soon to tell exactly where these are going to develop and what line they're going to kind of take toward the lake. So you'll need to monitor the forecast going forward as best you can to see where those cells may be coming out towards you. You know, and there's a chance they may not develop as well. But with this kind of a risk, you should plan for something to happen and treat them accordingly. All right, so here's the forecast for Saturday evening, and you can see basically that blue-green to green area is sort of 10 to 15 knots, and then the green to yellow is sort of 15 to 20. So you can see the wind is picking up, getting into the low to mid-teens across most of the lake, if not the mid, and maybe even some isolated upper teens in the northern half of the lake by this time. Basically from the southeast, in the south-southeast, in the southern part of the lake, veering around to the south in the northern part of the lake. Now you start to see because we have a longer fetch and an increasing wind from the south, the waves are starting to increase on the lake. Now here's the forecast for Sunday. And this is one model's take on how the situation is going to develop. And different models show different things, and I'll show that to you in a second. Now, this is the forecast here for 1 a.m. on Sunday, and you can see the lake is pretty much in a 15 to 20 knot southerly flow, all pure gradient flow on the lake. Beautiful breeze to run you up to the north. But again, watch for the possibility of some cells moving from northern Wisconsin or even the upper peninsula of Michigan out onto the lake. This slide right here shows two different models take on that situation. On the left, you'll see one model has the cells moving across the upper peninsula further to the north and coming out just in the sort of the upper quarter of the lake. The other model here shows a much larger cluster of storms and more intense storms in general moving toward the center part of the lake. So this is the quandary that we end up with. And you asked me is, well, which one is it going to be, Chris? And I said, well, we don't know. We don't have enough information at this time to answer that question. So the message that you receive is I carry on sailing in a nice southerly breeze direct up to the north and toward Mackinac, but be aware that that wind field could get significantly impacted by any cells coming out. And then I also have to be ready to protect the boat and the people on board in case some of those cells come out and are severe. That's why you have to keep monitoring conditions as you go up to the north. Sunday morning, we see that the highs out to the southeast now. We've got lower pressure out to the west and a broad southwesterly flow. It's not a strong southwesterly flow. It's not like this is going to, it's going to keep building 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 5. It's not that kind of a situation. It's not to say you won't get strong winds around thunderstorms, but for the most part, the background wind field is pretty marginal, or I should say pretty moderate, sort of 15 knots average. So it's actually a pretty nice breeze. Now, Sunday morning shows the wind backing around more to the southwest. So after that sort of first area or risk of thunderstorm cells moves through, we get the wind, veering around to the southwest, and that then pretty much staying in that sort of 15 knot average range. A little bit lighter up on the northern part of the lake, but that increases after that area of cells gets further away to the east and dissipates. Again, the waves not too bad. They have come up a little bit, sort of 1 to 2 foot range across most of the lake. Here's the forecast for Sunday, and you can see the effect a little bit of the fact that this isn't a really cranking gradient. It's a good gradient, but it's not going to continue to increase. We don't have a very dynamic synoptic setup. So it's continuing the wind from the southwest, but sort of 10 to 15 knots on Sunday. All right. And then Sunday evening, again, same thing, similar type of flow, south to southwest winds, 10 to 15 knots in the northern part of the lake, maybe increasing modestly. But again, we have to watch for the possibility of more thunderstorms and possible clusters of thunderstorms moving out into the lake from the north. And here's the sea state on Sunday. Again, we're starting to increase a little bit, but up in the northern part of the lake, it's still pretty flat because there's lower fetch up in that section there. And then Monday morning, you can see the wind flow there. It does get a little bit lighter up toward the straits, which is not unexpected in this condition. We also have a front that is going to be slowly dropping down from the north, and that could be coming in through the Mac Strait during the day on Monday. And so that will cause potentially cause some showers and such up in that area. And here's the forecast that you see. The NOAA shows that front coming across the lake Monday morning, and then the wind kind of starting to shift into the southwest to a more westerly condition after that front comes through. And here we are Monday morning. So the expectation is that for the first part of the race, getting up through tomorrow is going to be relatively straightforward, light after the lake breeze dissipates this evening, but then picking up sort of to a moderate breeze to carry you up during most of the day on Saturday and into Saturday evening, watching for thunderstorms as you get up, Saturday evening into Sunday morning, and then returning to a southwesterly and picking up, but not quite as strong, sort of 10 to 15 on Sunday and roughly around there, but getting a little bit less reliable as we get up closer to the island. I do see this as a situation where there could be some stopping and starting once you get past Gray's Reef and over to the bridge, some stopping and starting to finally get to the finish line. And as always, you want to keep watching for those cells coming across from Wisconsin. Now, I have my usual thing that I do here is I do three boats, a fast boat, a medium boat and a slow boat. And generally, they're all doing the same thing. The fast boat seems a little bit less aggressive about staying close to Wisconsin as long. But the slower boats definitely want to stay in that pressure. They need that pressure to get north. So they're the sort of the medium and slow boat are staying on the Michigan side, where the faster boat is able to get out and get running downwind in that that developing southwesterly. Even though it's not strong at first, it pays to just to get going at that point, where the slower boats needed to stay in better pressure to get north. So that's how things are looking. Like I said, it's looking like a good forecast. A lot of running conditions after we get past the sort of reachy start. But you want to keep updating the forecast and for any cells or anything that are going to come out. All right, thanks very much. Now, normally I get introduced by somebody, some guy introduces me to give the weather briefing. And he usually has some, remark to make. Oh, there he is right now about me. And I'm going to be the bigger man. Ron, welcome to the stage. We look forward to your mix report.
Damn, Chris, I thought I was going to have an opportunity to play Donald Trump rebutting Joe Biden. What's your golf handicap? I can make fun of handicaps. Get it over with. All right. So your win mix pretty clearly is Chicago Mac, mostly Wamperly, which is downwind, said another way. Additionally, I'm not sure whether the downwind numbers have been switched in Nautical Cloud yet, but we have posted on the official notice board a scratch sheet for the cruising division that has the mostly downwind factors. Last tidbit, Chris did just share with me a great idea for a revenue opportunity moving forward, which was using the timing gates to set up online betting. Thanks.
All right, that concludes the Skipper's meeting. Sail safe, sail fast. A copy of this presentation will be posted on the official notice board, and the recording will also. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the island. Thank you.